but at least have a basic budget. Okay, so this is the last section. It's the months 3 through 6 after taking your course, or months 3 through 6 after starting your online course. All right, so during this time, you should be graduating from your course. You should have your main social media accounts configured, branded, and populated with some content, right? With some reviews, with photos, with posts. You should have a website set up. It's very important. If you only have social media, if somebody goes on, like, let's say you get a Google listing, which is very important. The Google listing is like when somebody searches for microblading services in your area, you know how the search result comes back and it's got like it's got 5 listings of businesses in your local area that provide the service that you're looking for that correspond to the search terms that you put. So microblading in East Seattle, there's going to be a couple of companies that come up. You want to be one of those companies because it's going to show a map and there's going to be a couple of pins on the map. And you want to be one of those pins. And when it has one of those pins, what's the first thing that you do when you see a local business that provides the service that you're looking for? One of the things you do, I would imagine, if you're like me or most other people who search, you're either going to look for their, you're going to look at their Google listing and see what it says about them, if there's any reviews, but you very well may press or click the website because you want to learn about them, right? And so you need to have a website so that you present yourself as a real professional. So we're giving you all the pieces here that are going to help fill out your, the back end of your business and how to make all the decisions you need to make. But you also need to have the front end of your business that presents you to the world. And you need to present yourself in a very professional way. And so think in terms of that customer, that prospective client who finds you by doing a search on Google. You want to be on that map. You want to have a website. So when it comes the time that they find you on the map, when they click your website, you have a website that comes up and you want that website to be a beautiful, professional looking website. You don't want to have a, I built it in my garage type of a website that doesn't present you professionally. If you're going through all these to this extent to invest in and build a real business and a career for yourself, don't cheap out on the parts that are going to present yourself to the world. Make sure that you're presenting yourself in a very exceptionally professional way, consistently across all those forms of social media and your website. And so you should have a location that's established to see clients. Complete any rental agreements or contracts at this time. You need to have all the tools, furniture, and decorations purchased, and have any marketing materials prepared. So remember what I said about color scheme. You would, if you really want to be at that level, play the game at that level, make sure that your physical location has the same color scheme as your website, and make sure that it has the same color scheme as the photos in your Instagram, right? Be consistent across all of it. So when people think of you, there's an immediate association and it comes across very professionally, no matter where they see you or where there's any contact with you. Have marketing materials prepared like business cards. Again, same color scheme, logo, consistency, a professional email address, either, info at, or have microblading by Amanda@gmail.com. At the very least, have a Gmail account, like that. Brochures, signs, etc. Have all that done during this time. Amanda, any thoughts before I continue?
Nope, that's great. Just make sure that when you have your location that you have your licenses as a permanent cosmetic artist, and if you do need a shop license, that's also present in your location.
Yeah, very, very important. I think we even covered that in a couple of slides. Super, super important. During this time, you should have the following completed. You should be incorporated by now if you're going to go that route. You should have a company bank account set up with a credit card and checks. You should be registered for sales tax, for state sales tax. So in your state, you're going to have, that's a separate registration that you have to do. That's not the federal government. That's your state level government that's going to that's going to register, with whom you're going to register yourself for sales tax.
Well, and even if there's not sales tax in some states, you do need to sign up with the Department of Revenue in your state because there could be excise tax.
Right. So just be safe. Contact the Department of Revenue in your state and to let them know what you're going to be doing and inquire, what do you need? and then you got your bases covered. So you should also have completed your professional liability insurance. Very, very important. You have to have this. Your establishment license and insurance. And so obviously you don't want to be caught. I don't even know if you can set up your rental agreement without this, but you certainly wouldn't want to be caught without this, because you could find yourself in a position that you don't want to be in. So make sure you have your insurance and your license, not only for yourself personally, but also for your establishment. Now, here's a couple that most people don't think about. A payment system and an accounting system. Amanda, can you make a couple comments on this?
Yeah, payment system, so credit card processing, that kind of stuff. Finding some, like I use the Square, and I'm not recommending that over other services, but it also ties into my appointment calendar, which is another really important thing that you want to set up, is an online booking calendar for your clients to book their services, and then also an accounting system so that you can keep, like we talked about previously, having a separate business checking, credit card account, that kind of stuff. But you need to track it all. You need to be able to run reports at the end of the year to show your CPA, to keep your taxes easy, or else you're going to have a big headache next year trying to get all those numbers and separate deductions added up and together and organized.
Yes. We're going to have a completely separate product and program on this subject matter about what you need to do to build your business, because there's just so much to it. Amanda and I were discussing that before we started recording this. It's a whole world you need to be aware of to do it properly, because if you don't do it properly, you're just going to have a massive amount of headaches. Like if you don't keep your accounting, if you don't keep your receipts, and you get audited, you got a big problem. So you got to keep your receipts. You have to have invoices. You have to, there's things that you need to do, and we'll get into that at another time in a different program. But at least understand that you need to have an accounting system. The simplest way to do it, if you hate accounting and you don't know anything about accounting and you couldn't care less about accounting and you just want to do microblading, then hire somebody. There's bookkeeping service providers that you can find out there who will help not only do this for you, but they'll set it up for you. They'll set it up, they'll ask you questions, they'll interview you, and they're not all that expensive. And don't be afraid to pay $200 a month for accounting services. In the scheme of things, it's really not that much. And in fact, it'll save you a ton of money in the end if you ever were to be audited or if you have any sort of accounting problems. To be organized in that respect is very important. So you can get that done fairly easily. QuickBooks Online is what we use, and I highly recommend that also, because you can get access to it from anywhere at any time, literally on your phone, on a tablet, or whatever. You can always kind of see where you're at. Okay. During this time, you should have the following completed: state, county health department requirements to perform microblading and PMU. So we talked about that. Just make sure all your licensing, bloodborne pathogen certificates, any other requirements by your health department are totally done. During this time, you should have the following completed: the order and structure of your appointment process. Amanda, can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah. Starting out, I had to have a list, kind of like in order of like the consultation, having them fill out the consent form, talking with them, the consultation, doing the measuring and mapping, little things like, oh, you need to clean the eyebrows first. You should have your order of operations for the entire procedure. That was super helpful for me starting out, and then obviously talking about aftercare and booking their touch-up appointment. The whole table of events is going to be huge for you getting going. It'll give you confidence too in the appointment.
Yeah, because in the beginning, you're kind of like, what should I do first? Or, you have a client in front of you, you've never had a client in front of you, and it's a little bit overwhelming to finally sit down and really apply all these things that you've learned, not only to do the procedure, but to handle a live, retail customer. You might, like Amanda, you weren't in a retail oriented type of a position, right? Were you previously to this? No. So you have to kind of learn how to deal with that situation, and you have to get comfortable with it. And so to have that set up for yourself so that you can just follow, again, a checklist or, something that leads you through the steps of the process, the first couple of times, you'll get it pretty quickly. You probably won't even need that after, 3 or 4 times, but just to have it in the beginning is important. Model and client consent forms. Amanda?
Yep, get them together. It's important. And your insurance company might even have a available copy of things they require you to cover in your consent form. So make sure to ask about that as well.
Okay. Aftercare instructions.
Request that from your academy.
Mm-hmm. Any other information or documents that you plan to provide to clients? So you should have any documentation at that point, any brochures, anything that if as a part of your process, when they're done, you're going to hand them something that's some sort of an incentive to come back or to refer a friend or anything like that. Like, have all of that stuff ready to go during this or get it ready to go during this 3 to 6 month time frame, so that by the end of that 6 months, you have all these pieces of the process done. Okay, so in summary, microblading and PMU is they are a real and lucrative business together, both of them, and opportunity. You need to treat it that way. All right, it's take it seriously and position yourself for success. Use a process to select a great academy and trainer. If you're already past that, then prepare yourself for your course, and afterward, do preparation. Don't just go into the course. Prepare yourself to get the most out of it, and prepare yourself for what you're going to do when you get home, and then have a plan or develop a plan for the first 6 months after your course. You could see we gave you a lot of content today in this video. It's up to you to build a plan out of it. You can review this as many times as you like. You're going to have lots of content here to work with. And again, don't be overwhelmed. Just get started, one thing at a time. Will Smith tells that amazing story about how Will Smith, the actor, he tells that amazing story about when he was a kid, his dad had him and his brother build a brick wall in front of his hardware store. And it took them a year to do it. And when they were introduced to this idea, they were like, oh my God, how am I going to build a brick wall? But his dad taught them, here's how you lay a brick. You lay this brick as best as a brick can be laid. When you're done with that brick, work on another brick. And that's as far as I want you to think. Just keep laying bricks. And so they did that. And eventually, a couple months later, they looked up and they had made a tremendous amount of progress. And a year later, they had built a wall. And that's how you have to think about your microblading business. One brick at a time, and lay each one of those bricks as best as a brick can be laid. Don't get overwhelmed. Just focus. Take your focus that might be overwhelming you. If you're overwhelmed, you're thinking about too many things. Make it smaller. Chunk it down until it's just one specific thing or just a few things in front of you that you can get your arms around and you can feel comfortable that you can accomplish in the next week or so. And then for the areas that you have difficulty with, like let's say the accounting, it doesn't come easy to you. Find people to help you. If Facebook doesn't come easy to you, there's so many people who know Facebook, like, they could do Facebook with their eyes closed. Find one of those people and ask them to help you. Maybe you can barter with them. Maybe there's something of value that you have that you could do for them that they have trouble with, and you can exchange. Maybe you pay somebody. Maybe you find a college kid. Maybe you have a college kid living in your house that can help you do it. But just remember, if you do just 50% of what we're talking about here in this program, you are so far ahead of the majority of people. Most people don't have any plan. They wing it. Whatever it is they do, they wing it. Most people. Okay? Don't be like that. Create a plan out of what we're providing you here. And even if it's a simplified version of what we're giving you, start executing on it one piece at a time. And then just do the best that you can and keep striving. Keep trying to get where you need to go. One important part that Amanda and I talked about that we think is very important for you is having a mental/emotional or spiritual support system in place. So Amanda, you want to talk about this for a moment?
Oh, it is huge because starting out, it was an emotional roller coaster for me, not only working as much as I was and feeling overwhelmed with that part of my life, but starting a new company and doing something I hadn't done before and just feeling down on myself or maybe scared before a model or scared before a client, it was nerve-wracking starting out and also starting on the business side of things outside of your creative craft, being overwhelmed by all the business things, kind of some of the topics that we cover that can be overwhelming for a lot of people. And so reading some success books or plugging into a podcast or an audio. I know for me too, my husband was a huge supporter because I would get discouraged. He's like, no, keep going. You need that support. You need to, because you're not always going to feel on top of your game as you get your company built. I even have times now, I have an established company and I still have those days where I'm like, oh my goodness, can I do this? It's normal. It's okay.
Right. And so when you find those times when you're feeling burnt out, or a day where you just feel like, maybe it's literally your energy is low, or you didn't eat well, or whatever the case might, or it's a combination of you're just feeling a little overwhelmed from all the things you need to do, and it's, you weren't that productive today, or whatever the case might be. If you've lost motivation, then just take a deep breath. Maybe you need to rest. Maybe you literally need to take the afternoon off, take a nap, calm yourself down, ground yourself, do something that is not work related, just to calm yourself down. And then when you're ready, go back to your reasons why you're doing this. Get back to the reasons. Remember, we had you earlier in the presentation, we talked about writing out your vision in present tense as if you've achieved it already, for where you're going to be at 6 months. By the way, after you've achieved that, after you are 6 months, write the next one for the next 6 months. Okay. And keep going, but review your reasons why you're doing this. And that's going to help you reconnect with the motivation, the emotional energy that you need in order to do the things that you need to do on a daily basis. All right. Now,
the affirmation side of things, what you speak, a lot of us, and I know myself, this is a huge thing, is I listen to myself and I get all these concerns and everything, but you need to start speaking to yourself and affirming where you're going and affirming those goals, affirming those reasons why, but actually speaking those affirmations, well, it changes the course of everything. So careful how you're talking to yourself.
Right. Be careful how you're talking to yourself. Now go out and win. So Amanda, let's just bring this back up on here. All right. Very good job today, Amanda. Hope that was helpful for all of you. We went over a lot of stuff there. We gave you pretty much what you need to set yourself up for success here. So now it's just up to you to go out and do it. Go out and do it. And just remember, don't be afraid. If you're overwhelmed, we told you what to do. If you're feeling unmotivated, we told you what to do. We gave you all the pieces that you need. Just go out and do it step by step. Don't get overwhelmed, piece by piece, brick by brick, and you're going to be where you need to be. All right. So Amanda, thanks so much for participating today.
Thanks. Go get it, you guys.